Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about BPD, what it was like for me before I was diagnosed and what it's like now that I have a diagnosis, and just a little bit about that experience. My name's Olivia. I have BPD, I have OCD, autism, and ADHD, as well as a couple of mental health diagnoses. So I was diagnosed with BPD in September of 2021, so it's been like a month and a bit, close to 2 months now. And a lot has happened in between January and now of this year in knowledge about me knowing I have BPD, and then going to a psychiatrist and presenting that information and getting an official diagnosis. But before this year, most of what I heard about BPD was negative and a lot of stigma around BPD. And for those of you who don't know, BPD is borderline personality disorder. So a little bit about BPD is it's essentially a trauma response, and basically your whole personality changed to cope with a trauma that has happened. So most of the time it's in childhood, or an abandonment that happened in childhood and early adolescence. Normally it's diagnosed in mid to late adolescence and early adulthood, because that's normally when it begins to develop. BPD is essentially a fear of abandonment personified, and the main criteria for BPD is like frantic attempts to avoid abandonment, anger. If you have quiet BPD like I do, it's anger inwards, self-injurious behavior, including like cutting, but also like binge eating, spending, overspending, reckless driving, engaging in reckless sexual behaviors, different things like that. And it has a lot of traits of BPD are tend to be more of a clingy personality, or needing a lot of frequent reassurance that the person that they are interested in or in a relationship of any kind with doesn't hate them. So I would say the first instance of BPD that I can think of is when I think of my high school experience, and I had one of my first best friends, which I now know was a favorite person. A favorite person is essentially an unhealthy, normally it can be healthy, but a above average attachment to another person. Usually it is an unhealthy relationship with little to no boundaries, and it can be pretty toxic if not handled correctly. And that's how it went for me. So I had this relationship with a friend, and I viewed them as the most amazing person in the world, and I put them up on this pedestal, and if they were happy, I was happy. If they were sad, I was sad. If they were angry, it was my fault, and I took everything that they did and made it personal, and I put the weight of the world on their shoulders, and essentially they could do no wrong, and it was just really unhealthy, and they did not view me in the same light, and I felt like it was something wrong about me. Why didn't they like me close to as much as I liked them, and just all of this stuff. I had a couple of people I would classify as a favorite person throughout high school, And I dated one of them, and when we broke up, my world fell apart, and I had to rebuild myself from the ground up, and like my whole identity was in them. Another trait of BPD is a lack of self-identity and not really knowing how to view yourself. And so a lot of the time, at least for me, I would make my personality around whoever I was most interested in at the time. So I liked what they liked, I did what they wanted to do, and formed my personality around that. That's a little bit of autism as well, of trying to do what the normal people are doing. But yeah, so I would form myself around these people, and then when they left my life, I was left with not knowing who I was and this empty shell of myself. And now that I know that I have BPD, I can be conscious of allowing myself to express my own interests and trying to figure out who I am and having my own identity. And over this past year, I was looking into different personality disorders because I knew that there was something fundamentally different about my brain than the average person. And I was diving into different things that could mean, and that is how I got the diagnosis of ADHD as well. And I am seeking an official diagnosis for autism. But BPD, I looked into it and it just fit. Like every single criteria in the diagnostic manual lined up with me. And the only one that I struggled with was I don't really outwardly get angry. And so I was talking with my friend who also has BPD, and she's like, there's a thing and it's called quiet BPD or hidden BPD, and it's essentially all of your emotions but inwards, and instead of expressing outwards or lashing out, you lash in and you lash out against yourself. And that was like the final puzzle piece. And so I had gone into the hospital and I was starting to talk to my psychiatrist about ADHD, and then the next session I brought up BPD and we went through that process. And I had like done a lot of research, so he was like pretty much like agreeing with whatever I was saying, like not whatever I was saying, but agreeing with what I was saying, and was like, okay, I will put you on medication for ADHD and I will set you up with some DBT for borderline personality disorder. And since coming to terms with the fact that I have BPD and knowing what that means for me, I've been able to set healthy boundaries in friendships. And when I'm like, for example, like in romantic relationships, I'm able to know that I'm going to probably swing between essentially idolizing them and then going into almost complete disinterest, and that swing's gonna happen and that's gonna be normal. And knowing that I'm gonna be hypersensitive to abandonment and like things like maybe not having messages replied to and as fast as I would like, and different things like that, I'm going to be more sensitive, and having conversations with the people I love and care about, that those are things that may be triggering for me. And for me, I see my triggers or things that will set me off as an opportunity for both the people I care about to attempt to avoid, to a degree, those behaviors. So for example, my best friend will like always give me a reply to a message. Like, when she's able to, she will always respond, knowing that not getting a response can be something that sets me off. That's like a little example. Or the guy that I'm talking to, he'll let me know if he's busy, if he can't talk for a while, so that I don't assume that he hates me. It's little things that like other people can do while making sure that they don't feel like they're walking on eggshells. And then part of it is me knowing that I need to potentially engage in more self-talk, positive self-talk, and rationalize and use people in my life to help bring me down to earth or to have rational thought. I use my best friend as a sounding board all the time, and she helps me find reality and come back down. And yeah, so that's just my experience with BPD, a little bit into what it's like for me. Yeah, and I hope you guys found this video interesting. If you have any other questions about BPD, or if you think you might have it, or you have a loved one who has it, drop a comment down below and let me know, and I will answer any questions. I did a lot of research about BPD, and I love to share my knowledge. So yeah, I will see you guys next time, and have a great day.